One. Hey everybody, it's Jamie here.
And Nick, I'm here too.
He's here as well. And we are back. We are Big Spoon.
Little Spoon.
And we are here to talk about some random topics that we had previously pulled out of a hat.
Yes.
But now...
Right. We're pulling it out of our butts. No, not really. But we
tried to restructure, and we noticed that we were getting a lot of emails, which I'm really happy about, and I'm sorry for the long pause, because we wanted to kind of think about how we were going to do things differently, and as you can tell, we're in a whole new set in my basement.
Brand spanking new.
Yeah, we just built it today.
Yeah, hammers, nails, and a whole lot of love in here.
Oh, yeah.
So sit back and relax and enjoy Volume 2! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest episode and volume of Big Spoon.
Little Spoon.
Oh, we usually do that backwards.
It's okay.
We always mess this up. So, Volume 2. I'm pretty pumped about this.
I'm really pumped. I'm glad to be back. It's been a really long time, but I think it's going to be well worth it.
I think so, too. Yeah. We got some really cool topics coming up over the next couple episodes, and I think you'll enjoy it as much as we do. But first, I think we wanted to recap some of the topics from our first volume, our first grouping.
And then we'll talk a little bit more about what our direction is going to be once we get started on here. And we still bank episodes. We'll go over that as well. All right, so so we talked about a lot last volume. So what was one of your... Do we want to go through the list?
Can we just... what were the topics? Because I only remember some of them. I'm not sober for any of these. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so we had started out with the future, and I think that was pretty cool to start off with that.
Yeah.
Because it's like the future of what this podcast is going to be, too.
Yeah.
And then we also did zombies.
Yes. And if zombies could happen in the real world.
They can totally happen.
I'm excited to recap that one.
I know, okay. So that's
we'll get there.
I like that. We also did the Wild West.
Yeah.
So that was a cool one. I definitely would have to listen to that episode again.
We talked mostly about movies.
I think we really just talk about what we know, and I feel like our research on that part was
we did bust some myths about the Wild West.
We did.
How wild it really was. Mm-hmm. I think that was a pretty solid episode.
We did, and I think it helped that we had. I was watching Deadwood at the time.
We did talk a lot about Deadwood.
Deadwood was a great show.
I'm sorry, I still think of a man who's impotent when I hear that name. But go ahead, keep going.
All right, the paranormal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got some cool stuff to add to that one too.
Cool, awesome. And I also have a buddy of mine that I really liked that. So hopefully in the next batch we can bring up some cool things from him.
Okay.
Remakes. This was, shows or movies that were remade again, and
I do have something to add to that. But we'll get to it.
Was it Aladdin?
No, it was.
I still have to watch that.
Actually, I didn't watch Aladdin either. It's on Disney Plus.
It just came on Disney Plus.
I just don't like Will Smith as the genie. But it has to do with remaking songs and Elvis.
Remaking songs.
So all of Elvis's songs were actually remakes. Ooh. So we had said, I think in the episode we talked about one or two. Right. Yeah. It was almost all of his songs were remakes, but he popularized them in rock and roll so much that people nowadays
because he was a snack.
Oh, that's how you want to. Okay, what other topics did we have?
It was Stompfest 2019 with the lanternfly epidemic.
Yes.
I guess you could say, or infestation.
Yep.
And I have some I'm going to talk about for that because
cool.
of where I was working. It was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, is Disney too big? And in fact, maybe not, because I have it now, and I think I was a little against it at the time.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love it. Thank you, Disney. I'm going to Disney in May.
Thank you, Overlord Disney.
Thank you,
Disney
Disney.
Mothership. and we'll try not to talk about Star Wars.
Oh,
one of us has seen it, and one of us hasn't. And the last time we talked Disney, I ruined Avengers for you.
Yes, but you know what?
Have you seen it since then at least?
Oh, man.
Okay.
What an amazing series.
Avengers?
The whole Marvel.
The fact
is just so good.
they ended it, in my opinion, so perfectly.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't change a thing.
They could just stop.
I wouldn't change a thing. I wish I could say that about Star Wars. Anyway, let's continue.
Yep. So that was it. So we did.
Good.
That was a good batch of episodes.
Yeah.
I feel like there was more, but I'm okay with the fact that I feel like we're gonna have a little bit more meat to this season.
Yes. Yeah, we're both a little bit larger now. A lot of more.
I'm actually
meat.
Losing weight.
Yeah, me
believe
too.
It or
actually,
not.
yeah, I'm actually doing really well and healthy. Okay, where do you want to start?
Well, let's talk about the future.
Cool.
I only have a little bit to go on this one, and because we had talked a lot about Tesla, and then something big with Tesla happened, as everyone should probably know at this point, was the Tesla truck.
Yes.
What the heck is that thing?
I don't know. Tell me.
Do you ever watch, like play Halo? Remember Halo?
Yeah.
The freaking warthog in that thing that I would always like.
Is that what it?
Kill you guys.
Is that what it is?
That's what that thing looks like.
Do you have a picture of it?
Okay, well, I'll bring it up. We'll put it on there if we're able to do that.
Yeah, just shoot me an email. Remind me.
I'll show you though. Just the way that this thing looks right now.
Ooh,
You didn't see this?
No. What? That's what it looks like.
Look at those tires. Like,
that looks
you cannot.
ugly.
I know it's bad.
That's because Elon Musk is no longer the CEO.
Yeah, well, but he was the one. He was the one that showed it. He was just like, "Hey guys, this truck. You didn't see that thing that happened."
No.
Oh my gosh.
I'm out of the loop.
Okay, so if you guys haven't seen this, I suggest going out there and looking on Google, try and find this video. So Elon Musk went to go and show off this horrible truck, and he said, "This is the way of the future. You know, it's going to be just like a pickup truck." In fact, they actually did have, I think there was like a competition with like pulling them, and the Tesla truck beat out the Ford F-150.
Yeah, I believe that.
Although there's a reason for that. But he said the glass is bulletproof.
Why do you need that?
I don't know. So what he does is he has this guy come out to throw a metal ball at the mirror, or the window.
Yeah.
Cracks it.
Wait, really?
So what? And then literally Elon Musk on stage just goes like, "Oh fuck."
What? How did I miss this?
And then what happens next? They throw the stupid ball at it again. There's 2 like cracks in this windshield.
Oh my gosh.
So another thing happened.
Okay.
And this is why I really wanted to talk about this. Is just how I just feel like it's like when celebrities just off the rails. So apparently Elon Musk was at some sort of show in the Tesla truck and like crashed into something leaving like the club. It's just like one of those like train wrecks like you'd see like Justin Bieber doing, like crashing his like sports car. The problem
is Elon Musk, and I feel like we talk about the future. Elon Musk is just so tied to humanity's future right now. It's kind of cool.
I know.
But he's like, he knows, like, he basically do no wrong. Like, the man just starts digging tunnels in his backyard underneath the city of Los Angeles.
This is the future.
Like, yeah, whatever. I heard in an interview, somebody asked him, like, hey, like, did you get permits for that? He's like, no, I just started digging holes. Like, whatever. Although the city of Las Vegas has actually commissioned him to build this underground, like, Tesla tunnel that'll go under the city of Las Vegas. And I think that...
Is this for, like, maybe like a Tesla train or something?
No, it's for cars to alleviate traffic. So when he thinks about traffic, and I feel like we talked about this in the first one. I don't remember. But he talks about traffic. The way we try to solve it today is in 2 dimensions, right? If there's too much traffic on this 2-lane road, let's add another lane. Let's add a 4th lane, 5th lane, 6th lane. Oh my God, it doesn't do anything. Right? He has to think. He thinks about it in 3 dimensions. Let's add below or above. I did that opposite. That's fine. Let's add above or below. Right? So you can either build another car ramp on top of that ramp.
Like a frickin' bridge.
Okay, think of it like that.
Okay, because bridges do that.
Yeah, above. Yes, exactly. Like the George Washington Bridge in New York City does that. Or you can build tunnels underneath. So his thought is, instead of having these mega highways that go straight through the middle of, let's say, downtown Washington, D.C., his vision is that you have a tunnel that runs underneath it so that you don't have to deal with all the oncoming and offgoing traffic from DC. It's almost like an express lane.
Yeah.
And so his thought is that it's going to alleviate traffic. Now, there was talk about it almost being like your car. I heard this. I don't know if this is true, but it's like your car goes on like a conveyor belt and it just continuously like moves or something, so it goes quicker.
Oh, so you don't really have control of the speed?
I'm not really sure.
Click in?
I'm not really sure. I think that was part of his vision.
Really long car wash.
Yeah. And then he's also talking about this pod system that would transport either people or people and cars. Again, still in the working stages.
We like getting little balls. Like,
kind of. But from DC to New York City in less than 2 hours.
That's...
Right now, that's like a 3-4 hour train ride.
Nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's like me, right now from here to New York City is 3 hours.
They should do that, like Philadelphia to New York, so I can not have.
Well, they have they have a train like that.
Okay, what, we put your car on it?
Well, no, you don't put your car.
So that's the thing. Like, I still need my car everywhere I go.
That's fair. So.
Yeah, right, cool. So that was what I had. I just thought that, some updates on like what was going on with Tesla was pretty neat. So the thing with the towing, like where the competition between the truck and the Ford, and although I am in car sales right now, it's not like I know everything about it, but when you have an electric car, you're able to put all that power. It is basically all torque. That's the reason why that the Tesla truck beat out the Ford, because a regular engine needs to build up to that point where it can start really towing, whereas a Tesla truck can just literally just go, bye, I don't need it, I'm all
really?
Energy. Yeah, that's what I have heard. So again, that's something that we can look up again in the future.
Okay.
And see. So what you could do is, if you have anything to say about the Tesla truck, you can email us at wehateforks@gmail.com. And we're going to have a more bigger presence on Twitter. I feel like we should start getting a little more involved. That was really supposed to be my realm.
I don't Twitter, so that's what...
I'm going to try my best and do that. So, but...
cool.
Yeah.
What other topics do we have?
Okay, so we had... I know there's a few that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So there was zombies.
Let's go there.
Zombies. Okay. So you had something with zombies.
Okay. So, believe it or not, the U.S. military has a zombie plan.
I feel like we've talked about this, maybe not on here, but... Okay,
maybe in person. Okay, so, and I might butcher this, but back in early 2000s, there was a group of military strategists in training.
Okay.
Right? And so, as part of their training exercise, they were given the task of planning for a zombie apocalypse. This became an official contingency plan. It's called CONAP. I think it's 8888. Let's see.
You know what's funny is you've watched Parks and Rec, right?
Yes.
Remember the episode in Parks and Rec where they do like the contingency plan, where it's like a mock thing, and they're like having to decide what to do. It's like, I wonder if like little town somewhere, like, okay guys, zombie apocalypse. How's the town handle it?
Yeah, I mean that's basically. I mean, I think about that stuff in my everyday life. What happens if there's zombie apocalypse right now? Right?
Most of us do that. But, yep.
I like to think a little bit more realistically. What happens if what's the movie Red Dawn? Have you ever seen Red Dawn?
No.
Okay, go back to the 80s. Watch Red Dawn.
Well, that was crazy.
So it's about it's gonna sound like such an 80s movie. It's a group of teenagers who live in rural Colorado.
Yeah.
The Soviet Union invades the United States. And so it was cool, like the opening scene, like the paratroopers are coming down.
Yes.
And so they live in the wilderness.
They had a remake of this.
Yeah, with Josh Peck. They had a remake.
It was dumb.
Yeah, it was terrible. It's a good movie, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think more along those lines because it's a little bit more realistic.
Yeah.
But anyway, so CONAP 8888. First off, I didn't get a chance to see like what the actual contingency plan was, and maybe that's still under wraps. Again, this was a training exercise. It was meant to be for fun, right? But they ended up actually holding on to it just because. But this official document lays out, I believe, seven or eight kinds of zombies that I have written down here.
Different kinds of zombies.
Yeah.
What's it called again? It's CONAP.
CONOP 8888. And I'm going to read through the list of zombies. There's radiation zombies.
Oh,
Okay.
so like zombies made from like nuclear booms.
Yes. Evil magic zombies. And this is in the plan. I'm dead serious. Official United States document created by occult experimentation. And their contingency plan for this was that they would need to recruit chaplains to help in the fight.
Oh my freaking
I'm
god!
dead serious.
So, is everyone in the military like just a bunch of nerds? Or
Well, they're military strategists.
Okay,
so they're not actually out there fighting.
Military
they plan.
nerds. I love it.
You have space zombies, which of course are created by aliens,
And also Call of Duty.
weaponized zombies.
Okay.
And then there's
Hold on.
Yeah.
Zombies with like machetes, or like zombies like walking around like guns, like, but they're
could
probably
be
like
anything.
stormtroopers. Like, they're
Well,
just, like,
I think the idea is it's zombies created by another nation to attack us. Because you have to think a zombie doesn't think or feel or anything. It's just this
sleeper
creature.
cells
Yeah.
or something.
So, and it's, it's interesting. You can throw this undead, not thinking soldier into the field, and it's going to do maybe not as much damage as an official thinking human would, but something.
It's something
just
gonna
like
overwhelm.
Just like the dolphins in Iran. You don't know what I'm talking about. Awesome.
Iran.
Should we put a pin in this?
Weaponized dolphin.
It's a thing. So the Russian government had weaponized dolphins.
What do they have, like freaking laser beams?
Not laser beams. I think they would have like bazookas or something. And the idea was they were like suicide bombers. They would crash into ships.
Man.
So after the Soviet Union dissolved and they were
Yeah.
looking to make money selling
Yeah.
all their equipment, they ended up selling the weaponized dolphins to Iran.
So I wonder if like someone like here you go, and they're just like,
What do I do with this? Yeah. So that's we could do a whole episode on that whole thing. Anyways, we got space zombies, weaponized zombies, symbiote zombies. So like some kind of infection that causes you to become a zombie.
okay,
Pathogen
Rabies.
induced, which is somewhat similar.
Rabies.
A symbiote is you're working together for the same goal. A pathogen is something that invades and just takes
hold on
over.
a second. There's like a little alien or something. And it's like, hey, we're gonna be like a zombie, and it's gonna be like something awesome for you too. And you're like, shit, yeah.
That's kind of how a symbiotic relationship works.
I get cookies. All right, cool.
Yeah. Well, trying to think of a good example of a symbiotic relationship.
Oh, so there's actually something kind of cool, and I would love if Michelle can like talk about this maybe at one point. A certain book that she read. What was the name of that book? But it was literally like there's this alien species that comes down and they infect like the human body. So although like these aliens pretty much just have people and they are living their lives in the people.
Is it Animorphs?
No.
Okay. That's what I was thinking of. Sorry. That's a great one.
That was a great one. No, I'll have
okay.
to ask her that one. But there's something about that. But then people are like, no, we have to be our own selves and fight the aliens in our heads.
So the last two zombies are somewhat interesting. Vegetarian zombies, which are a danger not because they'll eat us, but because they're going to eat our vegetation and plant life, which will then cause us to starve. And the last one, and this is the only zombie class that officially exists in nature, are chicken zombies. Because when you cut off a chicken's head...
Are you talking about just like zombies without heads, and it's like...
No, actual chickens. I'm talking about actual chickens. That
real chickens that are zombies.
Yeah, well, if you cut off a chicken's head, because the brainstem, the brainstem is the part of the body that controls all of the non-cognitive things you do.
Yeah.
So breathing, I don't know, mostly breathing, I guess. You know what I mean, like pumping your heart, things like that.
Chicken, you just hear like.
You can cut off, but you can cut off a chicken's head and it can live because the brainstem's still there, and you can feed it by dropping like eye drops of nutrients down its.
But how do you? What do you do? You just kick them? Like
I don't really.
There's a bunch of dead.
All I know
chickens.
is it was on their list.
That's
chickens.
Weird. Just kick them.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I had for the zombie plan. I thought that was.
I tried to find a little bit on here, and I can't really seem to find.
There's not much info, to be honest. That's why I was disappointed.
Cool.
I just happened to run into a video about it.
I would really like to maybe do like an episode if you guys end up wanting to hear more about it too, of just like weird thing contingencies that the military has for us. That's kind of cool because I bet you there's other things like weird weather that can just happen out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, that actually would be an interesting episode. We should dive deep into like especially some of the weapons that we have nowadays that like aren't as talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should totally do an episode.
Let's do that.
Can you write that down?
I'm gonna write that.
Okay. So moving on, so there's two other topics I wanted to get into. I don't know about you, but spotted lanternflies.
Yes.
So the last time we did this, I knew nothing about them. And all of a sudden, after we filmed that episode, I started seeing them everywhere. So a recap for those of you at home. Jamie and I live in Pennsylvania. He lives in the burbs. I live in Philadelphia. And southeastern PA has been invaded by these spotted lanternflies. They're from Asia. They eat wood. They eat beer product, wheat
Hops.
and whatnot, to make beer. And so it's actually hurting a lot of industries in the
Grapes.
state. And so it's to the point where it's a kill on sight type thing. If you see this bug, step on it, squish it, burn it, whatever you have to do, get rid of it.
Yep. And it's winter right now, so you don't see them, but they're out there.
Well, they're eggs.
Their
So
eggs
after they lay
are
their
out
eggs,
there.
the eggs sit on the tree until summertime, and then they emerge.
Yeah.
So people were afraid to get Christmas trees this year because you bring it in the house.
You think you're going to have
a house? They're going to hatch. It turned out to be a myth, but
Yeah.
it was there.
But it is definitely a real threat. And I will say, since that episode, too, because I might have said that a little bit when I was working at CarMax, that we get tons of them flying at our building. That got extremely worse. There was so many that would just fly right at our window and just stop and just fall on the ground. Like, you go out there to go and pick up a car, bring it around, and you must like step on like 20 of them. Like I would make it like I was trying to take my on my break, just walk around the lot, just get some exercise. Along the way, you just hear me going like boom, 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 and I like run out of my way. Like I literally like planned my walk based off of, is there a lanternfly walking over there? I'm gonna go squish that thing. They're so bad, and it's not that they attack. But they're plant hoppers, so if they see someone tall, they're thinking that's a tree. That's why they fly at you.
Really?
Yeah.
Because only once has this happened, but the first time I saw one, it had landed on my leg. And one of my coworkers looked, he's like, Nick, there's a lanternfly on your leg.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
This isn't nothing proven, but that's what people say is like they're flying at you because you're a tree, and they're thinking I can probably.
When did we film that episode? Was that in the summertime? Was August?
We were starting to get into like the real season of it, because like we had started like kind of like spring before they were popping up. At that point, like they were these tiny little nymphs. They start off looking like weevils. I'm not sure if you've ever seen a weevil, but it has like a long nose. Only theirs kind of goes up a little bit.
They're very snobby.
They're very snobby. Just like picture like a little like.
I'm a weave.
But they have all these different stages, which is why like you might see them and not think that that's what the lanternfly is. And they sometimes will look different. But they're always spotted by like the red and white coloring on their body.
Yeah, they're actually very pretty.
They are really pretty. And so we talked about this? Are you talking about the lady who makes the necklaces?
I don't remember if we did. So that's been popular though on Etsy. Is this woman who makes like jewelry, like necklaces and earrings, and it's very interesting. But for Halloween this year, my office dressed up as spotted lanternflies.
Oh my gosh! And so that is so amazing.
Yeah. So we did. We put up our Christmas tree. We didn't decorate or anything, and like we had somebody like their leg like around the tree, and someone's like on the ground. Somebody was on the wall, and then
it's
we took a video. So I'm a physical therapist by day, podcaster by night. So there's an exercise in the physical therapy world called a dead bug, which is like you're laying on your ground with like your arms going up and down and your legs going up and down like a dying bug.
You did that as
I don't make up these names, but we did that. We took a video of all of us dressed as bugs doing dead bugs.
That is amazing.
It was clever. In my world, it was adorable, but to everybody else, is like, why are they laying there rolling on the ground?
It's definitely adorable.
Okay.
But that's an awesome idea for Halloween, is just showing up as those lanternflies. What they do actually is when they go and they find a spot that they like to like a tree, and they like to eat and do the nasty and make babies, and what they do is they actually will lay their seeds like right like at the base of this tree. Oh no, sorry, that's Japanese the Japanese beetles. So kill those too. But they have these egg sacs, and people think that they're like sap, and they just have all these like egg sacs like on these trees, and you have to like literally just go out there and like scrape them. But there are places you can call now, and you'll see like probably pictures of like or little signs that say lanternfly treatment. We actually had that done at our job, and they go out and they treat all the trees, like all the vegetation in the area. Yeah. They go out and they put something like some sort of either pesticide or they put like traps on them, and that is how you stop it. And after that, like our whole area got a lot better. So it really is like just do your part. If you have lanternflies, call up.
You can call up the state environmental protection people. Whatever.
There was that link we had on the last episode for that. So maybe we'll pop it on here again. But you go to that website and then think about treating your area because they can destroy your trees. And think about it. I mean, wine and beer, it's kind of amazing.
We need that.
Yeah, we need that.
I think it was something where like the fluid that it's some kind of like byproduct from either when they're laying the eggs or the eggs hatch that hurts and kills the tree. Which is why they say don't squish them on the tree. Like the eggs, you're supposed to scrape them off into like a baggie of alcohol or whatever it was, right?
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, so that would be something to kind of like catch up on and look up because I didn't know that. I thought that they were like with their little mouths.
Yeah, go back to our last episode because I think we talked about it in there. Cool. What other topic do you want to go into?
Let's go. We're kind of making our way down here. But can we talk about Disney Plus now?
Oh my God! Don't you love it?
I love Disney Plus. Yeah.
You didn't believe me.
I know. I thought that it was because like here's my thing is like you got all these different places and they're going on to streaming and I actually just talked to Michelle literally like just moments before we came down here to film.
Yeah.
But, like this seriously is the future. We're not going to be watching like we're going to be switching over back to Comcast with just internet. Because we don't use regular cable anymore.
Yep.
That doesn't really exist. You're not going to go there and be like, I'm literally going to watch like 2 seconds of a show and then 3 hours of ads. You can get your ads or whatever on some of these services in case you want them. Disney doesn't do that though, and that's why you pay $6 a month for it.
Yeah. So you're going to cut the cord then?
We're cutting the cord. We're just doing internet. Yeah.
Nice.
That'll save us a lot of money.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's one episode I want to talk about is financing.
Okay.
Next time.
Add it to the list.
We'll make it to the list.
Yeah, there was. I remember we went through this on when we did. It might have been the Disney episode, but like any movie, TV show, anything out there, you can find online. It's so easy. I found The Lion King. Remember, it was in theaters, and I found it in like 2 minutes.
I know.
Wasn't great quality, but it was there, and it exists.
You literally, if I ever wanted to watch something, you were usually there to be like, here's a link to it.
Yeah.
And like it's like the past now that's the past because just get it on these services and you do have to pay, which sucks, but think about how much you're just saving.
Yeah.
If you just choose just a few things that you do want to watch, you're paying for that $6 in comparison to adding your bill up to like $130 just to have cable, internet, phone. Who uses phones anymore? You know what I mean?
There's no point in having a home phone anymore. There's no point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a home phone. We just have the internet. I pay $50 a month for internet, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't give me any more bells and whistles. I don't need cable. We have a $20 antenna. We point it right towards from where we are in Philly. You can see the where they shoot out the antenna beams.
No. Wait, you could actually see them like what's that?
All my engineering friends. All my engineering friends are probably like shaking their heads right now. Whatever. Your TV lasers. We point it right at them, and we get
radio waves.
All we want. I don't know.
One of those things.
I have no idea. But
so I'm a big fan of Disney for the fact that I got to watch the Marvel Universe finally. I didn't have to pay for all those movies. I don't know if
they're all on there, though.
Because
some are. I think some are still on Netflix.
Sony is the big one.
The whole Spider-Man thing.
The whole Spider-Man thing. And, like, oh, come on. Like, just let them have it, all right? Like, it's still part of the whole thing. People are paying money. Like, what are you losing out? Just sell just to watch it. Sure, you can hold the rights, but just so we can view it.
So, Sony... I watched a video on this recently. So, Disney asked them what it would take to buy Spider-Man. They said $10 million. a little ridiculous considering that Sony purchased the rights for like. Wait, was it billion? It was $10 billion. Mm-hmm. Sony bought the rights for $10 million back in the 90s, right? And since then they've made let me think here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Spider-Man films plus Venom, plus they have Morbius, which is coming out next year.
These new ones are all part of the Marvel Universe.
So Venom is not. It's just the two with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
And apparently Morbius will be. But I'm not 100% sure about that. Like, it's part of the universe, but, like, don't expect many crossovers into Avengers.
So the way that I watched it was, like, Spider-Man was basically what the Hulk is to the Avengers for me. Because, like, there's no real Hulk movie out there unless you're watching the one with Edward Norton.
That counts.
It still counts, but it's like...
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
That's when you can skip.
Yeah, and I skipped it. It's not even on there either, because who had that one?
But you know what? That one at least... So the Hulk movie, for a long time, it was almost like the ugly stepchild for the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And then, since Civil War, they actually started referring to it again. So, like, one of the bad guys in the film is Thunderbolt Ross, the general, who started showing up again in, like, all the Avengers movies. So there's connections now.
Okay.
So it's not like it's totally like a complete wash. Like, and they make reference. In the first Avengers movie, Mark Ruffalo says, "Well, the last time I was in New York, I destroyed Harlem," referencing Incredible Hulk.
That was a total reference. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like out of the picture. The problem is Sony and Disney have this weird plan where if Sony produces the movie, Sony gets most of the money from the film, but none of the merchandising rights, which is usually worth more. Just saying.
Okay.
But if Disney produces the film, they put no money into the Sony movies. Disney puts up all the money. Sony gets a tiny sliver, and Disney gets all the merchandising rights. So
that's why.
So with the Avengers movies, Disney's making out like a champ.
Yeah.
With Spider-Man, like Homecoming and Far From Home, Disney is still making more money, a good chunk of money versus Sony. Even though it's a Sony movie that Sony put up the money, they took the risk in producing this film. Yeah. Disney reaps the reward.
Okay.
So Sony wants a bigger piece of the pie.
Okay.
Considering Far From Home,
that actually makes sense.
Far From Home was their highest-grossing movie of all time.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So they want a bigger piece of the pie, which is why they did this whole pulling out thing. But they also know if you pull out, that next Spider-Man movie is not going to do as well because people are going to be so soured by it they won't even go.
Wow.
I don't think I would. I'd be pretty upset. So anyway, this whole plan came down. Tom Holland was in a phone conference.
I saw he was getting pretty mad.
He was drunk, like in this
phone
conference. Are you
serious? That tiny little
trying
kid?
To save. He's like 25, I think.
I don't know.
I know. He seems like a baby. And they say, they work together. They figured out a deal. So Spider-Man is going to get one more standalone film.
Okay.
Inside the MCU,
but we won't see it on
and he'll
Disney
show
Plus.
up in one more Avengers movie. For now. They could change that in the future. But for now, that's what's in place.
That whole list that we keep seeing seems to always change.
So here's what they could do.
I really want to see another Doctor Strange.
That's coming out. Yeah, that's sometime soon. They're going to pair him up with the Scarlet Witch too.
Nice.
Which will be cool.
Yeah.
But so Sony wants $10 billion for Spider-Man. That's a lot of money. Might not be worth it. But for $5 billion, right? Let's say the Spider-Man films make a couple $100 million, right? Because they do pretty darn well.
Yeah.
If Disney manages to talk them down from $10 billion to $5 billion, Sony still makes out like a bandit because they bought the rights for $10 million to begin with. So they're still making a huge profit on that. Disney would only have to make about 6 or 7 Spider-Man films, which sounds like a lot until you think about how many Spider-Man characters there actually are.
Look, Spider-Man's like its own universe.
That's what I always loved about Spider-Man, is that the villains, the other characters, it's so deep. It's like X-Men. You can make an entire universe out of just that if you wanted to. I always thought Spider-Man would be
the first like live action.
Tobey Maguire. I don't know. Once he did that weird dance, remember he had like the emo hair and he did like the dance?
They did him dirty. Did you see Into the Spider-Verse?
That
was great.
So they made fun of that in that movie, which I thought was hilarious. There's like a scene in the beginning where like Peter Parker's talking about himself.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's a shot of like the cartoon Peter doing that dance. And he's like, yeah, we don't talk about that.
Oh my gosh, that was that.
Yes. Yeah, it was hilarious. Wow, we went way off the rails with this.
You know what? That's the whole beauty of it.
That's the whole beauty.
That is the whole beauty of it. All right, but yeah, I don't think it's too big. Honestly, yeah, you can have the argument to say that like they're kind of taking over everything, but it's still, in my opinion, quality that I am willing to pay for. And if this is what the future is going to be anyway, for only $6, I like, okay, Disney, I can really use some money for pumping your product right now. But I don't know, it's just...
It won't be $6 forever.
It's going to be more money? Oh.
Well, the difference, though, is that Disney already owns all the rights. Whereas Netflix has to pay millions of dollars to host The Office or Friends or... Is Seinfeld on there? Was that a thing?
I don't know. But Disney, I mean, Netflix raises its prices, but it's because of that.
Because of that.
So
Disney doesn't have to do that.
Disney wouldn't.
Okay. If Disney said to me it's $10, I'd be like, that's still kind of worth it.
So even though I have access to all the Star Wars movies, except for, of course, Rise of Skywalker, I should probably still invest in making sure I can get a nice, good collection going somewhere. Just in
collection
case.
Of like the DVDs?
Yeah.
Could do that. Well, so not every Star Wars movie is on there. Just like Avengers. So Disney made deals with Netflix years ago. So The Last Jedi and Solo are still on Netflix until like this summer.
But we did just get back. We got Last Jedi now, I think.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. That probably happened pretty recently then. Because I did a whole like Star Wars rewatch before Rise of Skywalker. Same thing with like
Thor Ragnarok.
I
know, that's
my favorite Thor movie.
One of the best.
All right, anyway.
Okay. What else we got? If I can turn my computer.
I had one other topic, but what else do you have?
Yeah, nothing really. That future one was really kind of like my one there. What's going on paranormal? You have one? Because I think you said that you did something pretty cool.
So after our paranormal episode, I went to Arizona in October.
Okay.
And so we were visiting a childhood friend of ours, Ian, and we stayed at his place in Phoenix, or just outside of Phoenix, is in Goodyear. And then we drove up to Jerome, which is like this mountain town. So they call it a ghost town.
Yeah.
Because it used to be a town of thousands of people. It was a mining town. And after the mine sort of not dried up, but they weren't really finding much in the mine anymore, the townsfolk left. And they have pictures of here's the mountainside filled with houses.
Do people still live there though?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like maybe 300-400 people now.
Okay.
As opposed to like 10,000.
Wow.
So you could see, here's all the houses on the mountainside. Mm-hmm. People literally just had their houses picked up and moved to the next town where the mines are.
Whoa.
So they call it a ghost town for that reason. But they also said there were times where it's a very violent town. There are just a lot of stories of infighting between the mining companies and people who live there. So we did 2 tours. We did the history tour during the day, which was awesome. I love history. I love learning about the town and the mining industry and all of that fun stuff. And I could do a whole episode just talking about that. Don't need to go there today.
Cool. But we should.
We could.
Maybe.
But then we did at night the ghost tour.
See, this is what we wanted to do that originally with Gettysburg, but that didn't work out. But I still want to do that.
We should do that this year.
We really should.
Yeah, we'll go to Gettysburg and do a ghost tour. Yeah, last year we ran into a problem because we planned a weekend, and then like maybe 2 weeks later, my wife was like, "Oh, that's my grandma's birthday."
Yeah, well, which is fine. It happens. I mean, how many times have I had to accidentally, flake out? So
yeah, so we'll plan something a little more concrete this year. So we usually with these ghost tours, the ones that I've seen or done. Now, mind you, I'm somewhat of a skeptic. Okay, I think there's a very real possibility that this is true, that ghost stories and all of those things are true. But I'm also a cold hard facts kind of guy.
It makes, and I agree in the sense I like to really try and make myself believe it just because it's thrilling.
It's fun. It's interesting.
It does make learning about history way more fun, and I think it's important to remember history. And find out what is it that made our country. So something like when we went to Georgia and we did that ghost tour, like the way that guy like melded the two together, like it really was just a history lesson.
Yes.
With some added benefits of like, this is kind of neat. Yeah.
So the one we did in Georgia, and this is how most ghost tours I've seen work, is it's like you walk to different spots and it's like, here's an old hotel that used to be a hospital. And people will say they've seen ghosts in this window. Okay, moving on. Here's a graveyard. Oh, but we can't walk in. Okay, fine. All right, moving on. This ghost tour, before we even leave, the guy hands each of us our own little, like, ghost measuring, like, reading device.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I have pictures of this and everything.
What?
And he brings with him, is it
EMP readers?
No, EMP is something else. I think it's EPV? EVP?
EVP. That's what it is.
Okay.
I'm going to confirm this right now.
He brings, like, a device, like a listening device, whatever it was. And he says, all right, let's walk. So we're walking down the streets, and he would stop at certain points and talk about the stories that happened there and this and that. And it's almost, here's where it gets creepy. Because, like, Savannah's a busy downtown, right? There's regular people walking around enjoying, like, their drinks from Captain Jack's drink bar or whatever it is. This is literally, like, a tiny town. There's nobody walking around at night. It just so happened that while we were there during the day, there was a blackout. So it's like the lights are like kind of out. You're walking down these creepy like deserted streets at night in these buildings that are like really old and almost boarded up, and some are shops and some are this. Yeah. It's creepy. So then he walks us down to this jail. So the story goes is that there was an underground, like an explosion underground in the mine. And so because of that, the houses above ground, it was supposed to be a controlled explosion, but there was some damage to the houses above. Yeah. Right? And there was a jail cell, which was attached to a police station, which broke off, literally slid like down the street and landed in the middle of the street. So there's pictures from the 20s of like Model Ts driving around this jail cell. It was like a touristy thing. So recently they moved it off to the side, so it's not in the street anymore. Yeah. So he literally took us down there. And this is where he's like, all right, we're going to turn on the machine. And he walks us out into this empty field. Again, it's fucking scary. Like, it's creepy.
By the way, it's electronic voice phenomenon. That's what it is. Okay,
so EVP reader. Yeah. So he turns on his machine. Yeah. And he says, all right, who wants to start talking to the ghosts? And so he would hand it to somebody, and they'd sit there and, hello, yes, simple questions. Can anybody hear me? And you might hear, yes. You might hear a voice that says, like, hello. You might hear in Spanish. You might hear in English. Sometimes we heard, like, it almost sounded like piano music coming from an old saloon. This is where it loses me, though. Because... Come on. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Come on. This dude, he was so into it. And I'm like, it could be anything. Like, you'd be calling, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And you hear nothing. Be like, hi, my name's Nick. What's your name? Sure. Like, I think he said Eric. I heard a name. So, like, this is where I start getting lost.
There's a tape in here, man.
But it's kind of cool. It's the middle of the night. Yeah. You're in this dark field. Yeah, you're talking to this machine. Yeah. So, like, okay, I can get why you'd be into it. Yeah. Okay.
But, like, I would do that for, like, 5 seconds before. Okay, we're moving on.
Now, while you're doing it, they tell you to take pictures on these tours because you might run into something.
Okay, so he
did something that I've never seen on ghost tours. He'd ask you first, can I use your phone? Because I know what to look for. And so he's sitting there while we're talking, and he's like, I got an orb. There's an orb right here. And he's, like, hitting the button, taking pictures with the phone. So I thought that was neat.
Did you get an orb?
He told me I did, but I didn't really see it when I was looking through the pictures. So, I do have some
things. Like in the woods, like.
Well, so okay, so light, like, I do have some things here. There's more to this story.
See, I kind of like Savannah one when it was at the end where he's like, okay, like I got attacked by this thing in this like area where they used to sell slaves, and I was like, I'm going in there.
So here,
dude, that's an orb.
He said these were strings. He said he's not really sure what they are, but he said it's usually a sign of like paranormal
he's
activity.
Making them blurry. Come on.
Yeah, some of these I was like, I'm not really sure if I buy that.
This is like then it's still kind of cool. Okay. Like the effort he put into it.
This is the one that I thought was interesting.
All right, we're gonna post these. Can we post these?
I'll try.
We'll try and post these.
So this one here, you see the gentleman in the field. Yeah. So just to set the scene, it's a brick wall. Gentleman standing in the field with a light. So first off, I showed this to one of my patients, and they're like, "Oh my God, I see a man right there!" And I was like, "That's the tour guide. That's not the actual ghost." But if you look really closely, you might have good vision to see this. Most people don't. You see this like green blob?
What is that?
He said that's like an apparition, like trying to appear. So he was telling us just before. I didn't see this when I took the picture. Tree. Don't know what it is. It could be a tree. It could be a green blob.
Can I see that? Let me see.
Yeah, go ahead. Hold on a second. So the story was there is a sheriff who used to stand on the rock wall and watch the kids like play basketball or whatever it was and turn out to be a ghost.
Then when you saw that on there.
So later I found this after he told that story. Oh, so I was like, that's interesting. So I showed it to him. I was like, what is this? He's like, it could be an apparition. I'm not sure.
Whoa.
So, but here's us playing. Here's like the EMPs. Like there's my wife.
Oh wow, you really all did get them.
We each got one. Yeah, that's the listening device. So.
Huh.
Yeah, so it was actually interesting talking to
the guy. That is really cool. When you explained it first, I was like,
he's an official paranormal investigator. Real. So he goes, like, people will call him to come to their houses and investigate and this and that. And he had tons of stories. It was supposed to be a 2-hour tour that lasted almost 5 hours.
Wow.
Because he kept being like, here's a cool story for you. And he'd show us, like, his YouTube channel and, like, videos and whatnot.
Okay, cool.
So at one point, he runs to the bathroom, and he comes back. This guy's, like, drenched in sweat. Like, he does not look good. And he's like, I'm sorry. Usually when I, like, run into paranormal things, like, I get really sick, like, to my stomach, and I have to vomit and this and that. And I'm like, whoa, that's really, like, that's crazy. So my buddy's sitting next to me, and he whispers, he says, you know, he's been chewing dip this entire time and not spitting it out. That's why he's getting sick. He's literally just swallowing dip this entire trip. 5 hours worth.
Oh no!
So that was pretty gross. So the one thing he said, and this one's interesting.
Yeah.
If you wake up in the middle of the night, look at your clock and see what time it is. He says if it's close to 3 p.m. or 3 a.m., that's when most paranormal activity occurs. So it's likely that a ghost or something woke you up.
So I don't really wake up at 3 a.m. because that's when I'm going to bed.
That's a problem, sir. That is a problem.
Is there some sort of paranormal like phenomenon that causes you to like not sleep until 3?
No. Lay your head on a pillow and shut off your devices.
The ghosts, they lull me to sleep.
They rock you to sleep in their big burly arms.
I'm always like that's my time where I have like the most creativity. Like literally all I've been doing
because you're sleep deprived. You're literally seeing things. I'm just messing with you.
I know all the ghosts. They're helping me write the D&D campaign. That's what it is. I'm literally like I have everything spaced. I'll go into more detail about that later because I think that might be one of the topics.
Yeah, a later topic in this volume is Dungeons and Dragons. So that's going to be a large you talking episode.
I'm excited for that.
Very cool.
But yeah, I think we...
Is that it? Did we cover it all?
There was a whole lot of other things. Like there was remakes. There was Wild West regional foods. You know what I don't see on here was like town names. We also did that episode.
Oh yeah, silly town names. I think we covered that pretty well. Yeah. It was kind of that was a hard topic.
That was a hard topic.
We didn't know any off the top. We just kind of made things up. We talked about the history of King of Prussia, which turns out we were wrong.
We were wrong, and it was actually the fact that there was an inn that was named King of Prussia that had no relation to the actual king of Prussia.
Yes.
Yeah.
And somebody said a lot of Prussians moved out that way.
Yeah, I think they wanted to change the inn or something. I don't know. That's
I don't know if it's still there, but cool.
I don't think that. Yeah.
So that's all we have for today.
That was a good
recap.
Episode.
Yeah, we learned a lot since our first.
We really did.
Since our first couple episodes. Cool. So if you enjoyed what you heard here today, you can find us on Facebook. It's
We Hate Forks.
No, that's our Gmail account.
So just Big Spoon, Little Spoon?
Look for Big Spoon, Little Spoon on Facebook.
Yep.
You can you can subscribe. We're also on YouTube.
Yep.
We're on all your favorite podcasting apps. Apple.
Podbean.
We're on Podbean. We're on Google Play, Switcher. iHeartRadio.
What I want to ask you is Spotify.
They're a pain in the butt, but we'll make it work. We'll get on Spotify too. I actually love Spotify, but we'll get there.
We're going to get there,
And then you can email us if you have ideas or anything like that.
It's wehateforks@gmail.com, and we definitely love seeing all your submissions. We've been getting a lot of them, and I know it's been a long pause, but we are back and better than ever.
Wow. Very cool. Thanks for joining us again, friends, and we will see you next time.
Bye!